This is the Night Wolf howling at you, and today we're going to be taking a look at the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe Cartoon Collection 2-Bad action figure. Or action figures in this case, when you get right down to it. This was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive that, luckily enough, they put up for sale at the same time online as it was available to pick up at the convention. And I want to say it was up for about 15 minutes, making it a fairly long lasting item, considering a lot of MOTU Origins related stuff goes really fast. So if we take a look at this, flip it to the side, we have Tuvar, Merciless Mercenary. Intelligent and cunning, Tuvar outsmarts any target he's asked to hunt for the right price. This is all your fault. We jump here, we get to see both of them together. I'm the brains behind the brawn. On the other side, we have Baddrah, Reckless Raider. The fearless brute lives by the motto, seek and destroy, which is exactly what he does to his bounties. Shut big trap before I shut trap for you. And on the other side, we get Too Bad, double-headed evil strategist. Let's be perfectly honest, that seems to be the last thing these guys are. Once two of the most dangerous bounty hunters in the universe, Tuvar and Baddrah, developed a bitter rivalry. Their bad blood used to be the only thing they shared. Now they share everything as Too Bad. Even though the two bitter rivals are now literally connected at the hip, their hatred for each other has not been quelled. So we got Baddrah on one side. Turn it around, we got Tuvar on the other. Little note, there is, like, although it's not working very well in this case, there's some kind of a magnet in the side here somewhere, because you can kind of feel it catch. And then when you open it up like this, there's another magnets over here to help hold that open as well. And if we take a look at the back here, we actually see the moment that they're being combined by Skeletor. The funny thing is that they used the cartoon collection for this story, but the story came from 2000X, and honestly, I think part of the reason why this lasted as long as it did is because it was cartoon collection and not straight Origins. Because I think people would rather have seen this done with the original style Too Bad figure and not the more cartoony version. Or if they'd gone full out 2000X style. By the way, on the top, we have that information that I was reading earlier. Just kind of some information on the bottom. I like the way the plastic here has Skeletor doing the whole merging thing. But we can go ahead and take the plastic and the figures out if we want. So I'm just going to note, I do like that this background is here like this. This means that we could throw this on our shelves like this to have the figures on there separately or together. I did buy 2 sets of these specifically because I wanted to display all 3 figures that you can get out of this. So aside from brutalizing the package there, it is technically could be considered collector friendly because you can put the figure back in there. I just wish they hadn't used the little plastic tags, the little doohickeys to hold them in place. The packaging is designed well enough that the figures could have stayed in position without it. So first up in purple, we have Baddrah. And this is kind of the thing where I don't think the head sculpts on the cartoon version look kind of as nice as the ones on the original version, which I don't have on me at the time. I do have it though. We also didn't get our usual informational card that shows how the things come apart. I mean, maybe there's something inside the packaging if you open it up, but not going to. So Badger here, he's got his little harness thing, which obviously will eventually translate as the part of the Too Bad harness. Although it is kind of weird because this is horizontal here, but on Too Bad, it's vertical. But anyway, articulation wise, we have the standard ball joint where we can look down and look up and spin around 360. We can cock his head sideways, up and down. We have a hinge at the arm to go up and down and up and down and down and up. We can spin around a 360 on the arm. We have the single hinge on the elbow. And of course the peg so we can spin it, pretty standard. The forearm is a new sculpt. This isn't just a piece that was put on top of it, which is kind of a shame, honestly. I kind of like when they do that. We have a spin at the wrist and the standard MOTU in and out articulation on the hand. We can also spin at the waist at a 360. Standard origins, pop them off. We can kick up yay far. And we can kick back yay far. And I honestly think they're, because of the way the hip joint is designed, which we'll go over more when we go ahead and create Too Bad, I think that might actually be allowing for a little more articulation on there. And in all truth, it would have been great if they'd used this design for the entire line. We also have the ability to kick out. Pretty standard. He can almost kick somebody in the head. Knee is on the hinge. Although most of the time I make note that it seems like we get a better bend at the knee on the cartoon collection than we do on the standard Origins figures. But this one does not seem to be bending quite as far for some reason. Maybe it is, and I just looks weird to me for whatever reason, but we still have the boot cut, so we can spin that all around. Hinge at the foot. And of course, the spin. Set him aside, and now we have Tuvar. His head sculpt, it's the cartoon collection, so it looks a bit cartoony. I think that's the thing that's the problem with the Too Bad figure for the cartoon collection is that they just look goofy. Um, I think an origin style version of this would have been so much nicer because they would have actually looked more dangerous. I feel like, but same thing: ball joint, spin, up and down, hinge, up and down, spin around. Ooh, punch himself in the face. Hinge at the elbow. Again, he's got a new forearm here. It's not just something that's on top of it. We have a spin at the wrist, hinge also. I know I'm going through this kind of fast. Spin at the waist, kick up, kick back, bend the knee. Can't quite kneel. Spin at the boot. Hinge up and down and spin it all around. So that is our Tuvar. The only additional items that we get with this are, of course, the Too Bad torso and crotch piece. Which is kind of funny because all the cartoon collection stuff, has like the plain belt here, but they actually just have looks like a standard Origins belt. The harness on this body also obviously is a combination of the two of them. Has a 3-strap there, and this is where you take it off here. Actually, let's take a look because I'm kind of curious as to what this torso looks like. This is probably the same torso that is being used for the Bebop and Rocksteady two-headed creature coming from Turtles of Grayskull, which the pre-order is already sold out. I think that was another one where it was before I even heard about it. So that was too bad. I did not mean to make that pun. I don't know if I should be happy or apologize. Oh man, trying to get the snaps or the harness back in place is not easy on this one either. The other accessory that it comes with is this mirror that has kind of a lenticular thing going on. And the mouth opens and the eyebrows kind of come down to make an angry face. I'm not going to lie, I have no idea what this is referencing. Like, I've seen all of the 2000X cartoon, I've seen all of the original Masters of the Universe series, but I, for the life of me, do not know what this is referencing. If it was in one of those series, I just don't remember it. So if you do, please comment below and let me know. First person who comes up with the explanation, I will pin their comment. But to be perfectly honest, I would rather they had not done this and given us some weaponry for them. I know the original Vintage Line figure just came with a shield, but it also had like punching action. And I think a shield would have been great. Although the 2000X series came with a shield and a weird looking double mace type of weapon. But even that would have been better. Before we go on, we'll take a quick look at the comic here. Hostile Convergence. And it is a 2-sided comic. And this is what I mean, though. These guys look badass here. And this looks more of the 2000X styling. Or I should say more of the Origins 2000X kind of styling thing. Because you look at Baddrah's head here, and you compare that head to this, and you're like, why? Why can't we have gotten that instead? So that is honestly a shame. This is why I think, again, if this had been an Origins version instead of the cartoon collection, I think this would have sold out faster because I think more people would have been excited about it. And even Baddrah or Tuvar looks better on this picture, and he's got like the helmet there and he's got a gun. Actually, he's got a gun too, and I don't know what that's supposed to be in his hand, but anyway, I like the vest that he's wearing there and his helmet here. This is really cool. This is the figure I wanted right here for these guys. But this is a double-sided comic, so we'll go over it really quickly, or semi-quickly. And these two characters are actually spacefaring bounty hunters, so that's interesting to note because a lot of MOTU doesn't take place off-planet. So Tuvar has been given the assignment of going after Prince Pixlor, Lord of ToyCon. Oh my god! Oh my god, I can't believe they did that. ToyCon. Oh, bad pun. Prince Pixlor. I wonder, anybody got an idea of how Prince Pixlor works into the whole ToyCon thing? Anyway, he goes to sneak onto the floating fortress, space fortress of ToyCon to go after this prince who looks like he's actually part of the Gar. But when he reaches the target's chambers, he is confronted by Baddrah. And it was hate at first sight, and they start attacking each other instead of the prince, who attacks them instead. Pixlor Palace is what they're calling it, by the way. So Tuvar gets mad because he let his Baddrah let the fortune escape. They jump ships, and Tuvar starts attacking Baddrah. And instead of getting the vengeance he wanted, he ends up being targeted instead, tasting bitter defeat. But Baddrah did not come out of this unscathed either, and they both crash land on the planet below. Once on the planet, they start fighting each other once they get out of the cockpits. In this side, we get Tuvar bashing Baddrah in the face. Baddrah goes ahead and does a full, is that a suplex, I believe is what it's called, for wrestling? If I'm wrong, let me know. Hey, Bucky, if you're watching this. So they're fighting, and looks like Baddrah is the one who's winning. And then they're engulfed by sentient sludge. That's right. We've got the blob there. Even though it is attempting to eat them, it doesn't like the taste of them and basically spits them out. Tuvar is unconscious for a while, but when he wakes up, he goes to kill Baddrah with his gun. "You not have stones to kill me," Baddrah says. "You need me alive for us escape Baddrah work with you one time." So Tuvar in this side tells a story about how his mother was sick and he went to go and try to help her, where he runs into this guy who he thought at first is a doctor, but if you look close enough, you obviously see it's Skeletor. And he tells him that he will pay this little brat handsomely if he can kill someone for him. So he does it. But by the time he gets back from the mission with his money, his mother has already passed away. And of course, Baddrah makes fun of him for being a mama's boy. However, as they're sitting laughing at each other, the Prince of Toycon army shows up, and Baddrah goes ahead and captures Tuvar in a cocoon of, well, I should say, of a bubble, because he has already made plans to sell them to the prince. And his payment was a ship and some cash. But he finds out the cash is counterfeit and the ship is set to self-destruct. And once more, these two end up... Actually, hold on, because I read both sides of this comic already, and I'm like, the stories are slightly different because Baddrah got like a ship and it was set to self-destruct. In this case, though, it looks like he's on his way to carry Tuvar with him. Tuvar escapes through the escape pod and probably reprogrammed the ship to crash into something else. When the two of them, though, had been together, Baddrah had told Tuvar about his most prized possession, his mansion. And of course, Tuvar goes and destroys it. And then later, it appears that Evil Lyn contacts Tuvar in order to bring him for an assignment at Snake Mountain for Skeletor. In which case, he finds that Baddrah is already there. And they start fighting and annoying Skeletor. So we will flip over to Baddrah's half, which again, I like the design of Baddrah better than what we got. This starts off with Baddrah making a joke to Modulok about 2 heads, 1 body, must be hell. But he comes to discuss business where he wants, and this is of course for the killing of the Prince Pixel from Toy-Con for lots of money. So he goes ahead and he accepts the offer, and when he goes to get it done, he flies, and his ship looks like a fist. It's kind of weird. But he makes his way to Pixlor Palace, where, again, as we saw in the previous version, he runs into Tuvar, and they start fighting each other rather than going after the prince. Which usually you think in these kind of bounty hunter kind of schemes, the bounty hunters take out the target and then fight over the target after the target's taken out. But they fight, they try to run away, still fighting each other. They manage to get to their ships and escape, but they fight each other a little bit in space, and they both go crashing down to the planet below them. Baddrah gets out of his ship only to end up with a fight with Tuvar, gets sucker punches Tuvar, tries to drown him in the sludge, but then the sludge is sentient and starts to eat both of them. Finally, it spits them out because they both taste terrible. They fight a little more. And see, this is where it starts to get kind of weird, right? Because we have or Baddrah over Tuvar. You cost me fortune today. Now we see how much you sell for me. And he makes a deal to do it. But he didn't like tie him up or anything. He just makes camp, like no binding, no nothing. And then we have the comment again of you not have stones to kill me. So he's telling they got the balls for it. But they must work. But he, of course, makes the offer to work together so they can escape. And then, in the spirit of unity, or at least distraction, he tells about how he was a lone pauper on the streets, beat up by the citizens of whatever planet he was on, a pitiful creature. And then appears Skeletor again and asking him to do an assassination for him, and he'll give him lots of money. Tuvar calls Baddrah a bum. But the princess's forces show up, and Baddrah has betrayed Tuvar and is selling him to the prince and locks him in a bubble. And see, in this version here, Baddrah discovers that the reward money was counterfeit and the ship was rigged to self-destruct, which is different from the Tuvar side where it said that it was rewired to crash into another shuttle. He manages to escape the ship, and he sent a signal to a bunch of junk trawlers and then kind of hitched a ride for him when they came to pick it up. And then he went to return to his home world where he found his mansion destroyed and blames Tuvar. And of course, looking for money, he accepts a job that brings him to Snake Mountain where he finds Tuvar and the two of them fight. And of course, this annoys Skeletor who, dun dun dun. So, you don't want to work together. Well, too bad. And that finishes our comic. We move on here. Again, we have the torso. We start pulling the figures apart. And you'll see, unlike the standard MOTU Origins figures, or cartoon collection even, it's got a much bigger spot for the ball joint in the hip. And that is to allow us to take it off and put it on the other body. Which this would have been cool if they'd done that with all the Origins figures. Oh, shit. Pop out his arm. That did not feel good. Pop off his head. And we're left with this. Oh my god. I don't think I'm taking this figure apart, actually, after this. Same thing with Baddrah. He's coming apart a lot easier. And he lost his head. The one issue I have with this, as much as I do like this setup, and I think it's kind of a fun thing to have done, we got lots of shit left over. I wonder if somebody could make a little thing where you could attach these guys by the armholes. But anyway, yeah, this is, like I said, this is the one thing I don't like about this, is that now this is just goes in the parts bin, and it's just a bunch of leftover crap. It's sort of like my complaint with the Ramen Toys tank, where you order the full tank, and then you have to order the other accessories to put on there, which leaves you with the tank turret as a side piece. So to a certain extent, it would have been nice if they'd just given us these as just a straight 3-figure pack. They could have still had this whole thing if they wanted to, but you know, a 3-figure pack charges an extra $20 for it. I don't remember how much it was. I think it was 60 or 80. But you know, go ahead, charge us the extra $20. Give us the full set of figures all over again, so we don't have the spares here. And we just could have had all 3 of them standing here. Because now we just throw these in the parts bin, or we throw that torso in the parts bin. And if we wanted to display all 3 like I want to, you have to buy 2 sets of these. So that's what I've done. I don't have the other pack here with me. The other thing that's kind of disappointing about this, again, it's the whole cartoon collection head sculpts. They're not, this, he just looks dumb and he looks stupid. Granted, that's how they pretty much acted in the show itself. But I do wish they would have given us some weapons for him. Like I said, the shield that he had originally would have been cool. The guns that they were using in the comic, the helmet, the vest, all that stuff would have been really nice to go with this figure. Hopefully, they'll do the same kind of thing in Origins and they'll give us that extra stuff. Because you know what? I'll take a 2000X styled too bad in Origins over a vintage style one. I'm not going to lie. But go ahead, let me know what you guys think of this. And again, first person who can tell me what this mirror reference is gets a pinned comment. As I was kind of thinking before, though, as the display piece, which again, I feel stupid for not having the other set with me. But we could have all three of them all posed together on this, and I think that is going to be how I display it on the shelf, is like this. I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, leave a comment if you want, especially if you know what that stupid mirror is for. And I do really wish they gave us extra gear, weapons, the helmet, whatever, instead of that mirror. Something useful. Subscribe if you enjoyed yourself here. And be sure to share if you liked it. And if you didn't like it, share also. And just give it to somebody you hate and say, hey, I thought you would enjoy this. Because I'm not above, me being used to torture other people. Peace and love. For the boys love fans out there, here we have the two positions so they can kiss each other. And it's not even incest or twincest because they were separate beings before they were combined together. Yeah.